Good morning. Sorry, I know this feels a bit late, but Happy New Year! Sorry, but it's the first collective worship of 2021, so it's the first chance that I've had to do that. I hope it didn't make you jump, or not too much anyway. Well, some of you are homeschooling and some of you are in school. How are you all doing? I'm homeschooling. Well, my children in year 3 and year 6 are anyway. And I've been learning loads. I've learned that Miss Newton's kitchen is really lush. It's like a show home. And I've learned that Mr. Harding has an accordion, a banjo, and he has a gun that fires bubbles. He tried to pretend it was Robin's, but I know that baby Robin's fingers are far too small to press the trigger, so it must be his. Now, the whole reason that some of us are at home and some of us are at school is that things are a bit serious at the moment with COVID, aren't they? We all need to make sure that we play our part and that we try and keep one another safe. If you watch the news, it can be a bit worrying. And for some adults and for some children, it can be a bit frightening. So this term, we're going to be thinking all about courage. So in our collective worship times, we always start with a thankful time, don't we? So I know things are tough at the moment, but if we just think about all the hard things at the moment, we'll all feel sad and worried. But if we think about things to be thankful for, we'll feel positive and encouraged. So what have you got to be thankful for today and coming up this week? Have a think. What have I got to be thankful for? Well, I'm going to think back a little. I want to take you back to Christmas. Can you remember that? It feels like ages ago. Can you remember for our last assembly, we did a Christmas game special, didn't we? So I want to play higher or lower. I'm really thankful to all of you for doing your singing and your readings in our Christmas Eve celebration, and especially the funky dancing at the end. You were all brilliant. So, higher or lower, who thinks that 50 people watched our Christmas Eve family celebration? Watch you. 50 people, higher or lower? You think it was higher? Yep, you're right. Okay, so what about 200 people watched it? Higher or lower? You think it's still higher? Yep, you're right. It was higher than 200. Okay, so what about 500 people watched it? Who thinks it was higher or lower? Oh, you think it was lower this time? Well, you're wrong. It was higher. Okay, so what about 1,000 people watched it? Higher or lower? Oh, so you think it's definitely lower this time? Well, you're wrong again. From Facebook and YouTube, we know that we had 1,508 views. But wait a second, how many of you watched it with your family? In our family, when we watched it, there were 5 of us, 2 adults and 3 children. So views could mean 1 person watched it, or they could mean 5 people watched it, or 2 or 3 or 4. So we can estimate that 4,000 to 5,000 people probably watched you on Christmas Eve. And did you see all the comments on Facebook Live from your mums and your dads and your aunts and your uncles and your friends and your neighbors? They thought you were amazing. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you, because you were amazing. And I know that for lots of people, in a good way, you made them cry. They were so emotional watching you just do so brilliantly. So give yourself a pat on the back. You really made lots of people happy on Christmas Eve. Thank you. So I'm thankful for that. And I bet you thought of lots of other reasons to be thankful this week. So let's think about our theme for this term, courage. I wonder what you think of when I say the word courage. Why don't you stop for a minute and just have a think about it? Courage, what does that mean? Courage is being brave even when we feel nervous or scared. So, over this term, we're going to explore different Bible stories where people show courage, or stories that help us to think about how we can be courageous in our lives. So, let me think about ways where maybe you have been brave. What about when you first press that button to unmute in your Teams meeting? I bet for some of you, you were nervous. That took courage, didn't it? And what about for others of you going into school and it being different and some of your friends not being there? That's showing courage too. What about home learning and using different technology that maybe you're not used to? That might take courage. And what about the same for your teachers, having to do all this different work online, hoping that the technology won't break down? And they've been learning all about muting and unmuting and sharing screens and things, haven't they? They've definitely shown courage. So here's my encouragement for us about courage this week. We aren't alone. Jesus wants to help us. When we're nervous or worried or we're missing our friends, we can ask for Jesus' help. We can talk to him. We can pray. I always feel better when I've shared things with him. I guess it's a bit like when you're in class, putting your hand up to ask your teacher for help. Or when you're worried about something, talking to your teacher or your parent. You feel better because they listen and they help. I feel better because I've prayed, I've talked to Jesus and asked for his help. So you can pray anytime, anywhere, in your hearts. You just talk to him. And if you want to pray together, I'm just going to pop outside to share something with you. So here's a way that we can pray together. I'm outside church and we've got our community prayer board message encouragement boards. And what I really like to encourage you to do is to come down and you can write a prayer, maybe thanking God for the NHS and the key workers, praying for them, or maybe you just want to say hello to your friends. Someone's put here, missing all my friends, Isabel, Arabella, Layla, Lexi, Abby and Izzy. I think that might be my Abby it's a message for. So you can come down and put a message up for your friends. So you may have noticed that Ellie isn't with me this assembly, and that's because she's having an operation on her throat. So I'm going to put her on a prayer board and ask you to be praying for her. So I'm going to do a lovely picture of her, obviously. So here you go. She's going to love this. You can remember that my drawing's amazing, can't you? And then she's got fancy hair, hasn't she? I mean, that just looks like Ellie, doesn't it? And I'm just going to pray for Ellie's operation. So it's that simple. There's these big boards for you to fill. Come and write a prayer, come and write a message, come and write an encouragement to our community. Give it a go, but make sure use the wipes, follow the instructions so that we all stay COVID safe. So let's finish our time together with the two prayers that we say together. If you want to join in, the words will be on the screen. Dear God, thank you so much for loving us and being with us all day long. Thank you for the people in our lives who care for us. Please help us to look out for other people and care for them. Dear God, help us to make good decisions, to be the best learners we can be. Give us plenty of opportunities and let us cherish them. Help us to be kind, sharing and loving, and to treat everyone equally. Help us to care for the wonderful environment we live in, as well as others and ourselves, while giving us the power to conquer life's challenges. Help us to be grateful and not greedy. Thank you for all the happiness and joy you bring us. Amen. So I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you next week, maybe over the weekend when you're doing your daily exercise. You might want to pop down to the church and you can write a message to your friends or an encouragement to our community. We can write down a prayer. We're going to finish by listening to a song about how God can help us be brave. See you next week.
I stand before you now, the greatness of your renown. I've heard of the majesty and wonder of you, King of heaven. In humility I bow as your love. Crashes over me, crashes over me. For you are for us, you are not against us. Champion of heaven, you made a way for all to enter in. I have heard crashes